This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello and welcome to another edition of C2C Rankem. I'm the host, Big B, along with my co-host, halfway around the world, Mr. Primus himself, Tim Hendricks. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Yesterday we found out that one of the greats passed away. Kind of not one of those things that you kind of want to wake up to. My thoughts and prayers go out to the Star Wars family. Also to James Earl Jones' family. We lost a great one yesterday. Outside of that, we got to remember today is the 23rd anniversary of September 11th. Again, we got to think about the people that we lost because of that, not only just because of 9/11, but what also happened in the subsequent war after that. Always in our thoughts and prayers, but we are here today to hopefully to lift spirits up for people. And to do and to have a lot of fun with today's categories.
Yeah, exactly. 23 years, man. That's still, I know a lot of people, that's still in front of their mind, especially when today comes. On a better note, or not a better note, but yes, yesterday Earl Jones passed away. But today also is my sister Crystal's birthday, so happy birthday to her. So hopefully she has a great day today or this weekend whenever she decides to party it up. So, all right. So today's topic is in the sports category, and it is teams and players we love to hate. Now, when we get to the players, it's not that we hate them because they're major athletes. It's just, there's just something about them that we just don't like, and it is current players. So you will not get Joe Mauer on my – oh, you didn't do current players?
No, I did the whole shooting batch.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're not going to match up those.
I have to look to see. I might have a couple. Let me check. I know in the NFL I don't. The NBA I have two. And Major League Baseball I have two current players.
All right, so it won't be so bad, but yeah. So let's kick it off, Tim. Let's kick it off with the NBA, the teams that we love to hate.
Oh, the teams! Oh gosh, the teams that we love to hate. I think at least we could still get 5 out of this.
Yeah.
Oh man, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's possible we can get all 5. But
yeah, I'll go 3.
I'll go 3. All right. My number 5. If it weren't for one certain player, I think that this team would be on the aisle of irrelevancy until they got another player. It was so nice when these guys sucked, and the fact is that they play in the same division as my Bucks makes it a lot worse. And they seem to, and one of my hated players is on this team, so he's on two of my elite teams in this league. So if that makes it any better, and honestly, I don't think we get 2 3-peats if this one person decides not to go and retire and then come back. I think we're looking at a 6-peat, if not a 7 or an 8-peat. My number 5 is the Chicago Bulls.
Ooh.
I love them, but I got to respect what they did.
Oh, exactly. Well, I'll go with another team that kind of changed the game over the last X amount of years because of their shooting ability. I know you liked them when we first met, but they changed the game. They even changed the game just as schoolyards and high school and stuff. Everybody wants to jack up the three. I'm going with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, we're not getting 5.
All right, you're number 4.
My number 4 was one of those teams that is always in that discussion and who's the greatest team in the NBA. If it weren't for last year, they'd have one less NBA championship. One of my favorite players ended up playing for this team. I've been lucky enough to meet 2 players that have. Well, I met one that was already a legend and was already doing stuff for this team, and then one kind of just went there. But I hate it. I hate the fact is that this team is always in the discussion. It kind of reminds me. To me, I think of them like the Yankees of the NBA. And it's kind of funny that they're at number 4 on this list. But my number 4 is the NBA champion Boston Celtics.
Okay. My number 4 team, I know they haven't done much, but I think it's just the market. And it's just, if it's not for the other team, it's this team that gets publicized a lot, especially when they are doing good, then they're really going. I'm going with my number 4 team, the LA Clippers.
Wow, the Clippers.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. You're number 3. Yeah.
I thought you were kind of stealing my thunder here, but the Boston Celtics have had a rivalry with a team that left Minnesota. Right by that list alone, they should be the number 1 most hated team to ever have played in Minnesota outside of the North Stars. But it just seemed like this team keeps getting more and more players. It's like, it's so stupid and it's so ridiculous. And why? Well, I'm still bitter. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm bitter that Lou Alcindor went to play for this team and didn't stay in Milwaukee, but. That's fine, but they seem to always get there, and I blame. I get so angry and so angry about this team because I can never remember the stupid. Well, I'll forget it now. Randy Cox is out there sniping me at this point, but I can't stand the Lake Show. Hate the Lake Show. Hate Showtime. Just absolutely hate it. It seemed like every time you turn around, this team is getting another superstar. It's absolutely ridiculous. I really wish that the Los Angeles Clippers would actually do something and bury this team. My number 3 is been sniped by Mr. Randy Cox. My number 3 is the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah. Well, my number 3, when they're winning, it seems like their fan base comes out and really makes it hard to root for this team. I know when LBJ was there, it was hard to root for the team because they talked about, winning X amount of titles in a row, and of course it didn't happen. I'm going with the Miami Heat. Your number 2.
My number 2, Chicago Bulls weren't going to be the Chicago Bulls unless you got past this team in the 80s. And holy crap, if I didn't hate the 80s between the Lakers and the Celtics. And my number 2, can't stand Isaiah Thomas, can't stand Bill Laimbeer, can't stand Dennis Rodman. God, I loved it the moment that they sucked like last year. I'm so happy when they suck. My number 2 is the Detroit Pistons.
All right. Well, my number 2 is your number 4. Got to respect all the titles and what they've done, but yeah, the Celtics, just it's a hard team to root for, So, your number 1.
My number 1 has been Well, it's not C2C unless we're sniping. It's the
Ooh.
phrase that pays. My number one, if I'm not mistaken, is your number 3. The Miami Heat.
Wow.
Can't stand them.
Yeah.
Couldn't stand them when Bosch and Wade were there. Couldn't stand it when LeBron James was there, and then when Jimmy Butler went there,
Yeah.
it just got worse. Shaquille O'Neal went there. It's like, who did not go there?
Yeah. Well, if everybody knows me, knows, I gotta respect the players that have been on Lakers, but that fan base and the media coverage of the Lakers it's hard to root for that team in any sense to get them going. So we ended up with 3. Not a bad start. Dragon Viper had a couple good teams on there. His honorable mention, Portland Trailblazers.
That one. When I saw that was his honorable mention, I'm like, wait, what did Portland do to Dragon Viper?
Yeah, I don't know. All right, so let's move into the realm of baseball. I'm gonna go 4. I think we're gonna go 4. I could see 3 because I don't think you're gonna have one of my teams on there, but I'll go 4.
I like 4. 4 sounds like a good answer.
All right. Well, I know somebody that's overseeing us is going to be rolling in the grave because of them being in Milwaukee, but now they're in Atlanta. I love their pitching staff in the 90s, but it's just that team now that you're just having a hard time to root for because of their fan base and stuff, and that's the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. My dad to the day he died, doesn't recognize the Atlanta Braves as a team.
Yeah.
They were the minor league team for the Brewers and for the Milwaukee team. So, my number 5. Well, there's going to be somebody on our channel that isn't going to like me. I just can't. I respect them, and I absolutely respect them. You get somebody like Pujols and Molina and the pitching staff that they had. Yeah, I'm a little bitter from 1982. That's a long time to be bitter in baseball. 42 years. When the only time we've been to the World Series in the Brewers organization, and you lose to this team. But you've got players that you respect. You absolutely respect the players. You just don't like the team. My number 5 is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay. I loved them in '87 for sure. Of
course.
My number 4 team, they're on here because of recent people being on there, but again, it's just, and I'm going to upset a certain co-host of ours on different shows, but I just, and maybe over the years they'll come, but there's still one player on that team that I just having a hard time believing in, and that's the Anaheim Angels the Angels. I just butchered their name. See, that's how much I don't like them.
4 is not going to happen. 4 is not going to happen either. So you don't like the Anaheim Angels, the Anaheim Angels of Los. What the heck is it?
I don't know.
They've changed it so much.
Yeah, go back to California.
Yeah, let's go back to the California Angels and just be okay with it.
Yeah. All right, you're number 4.
My number 4. I have friends that are fans of this team. The friends aren't obnoxious, but the fans are obnoxious. And sure heck not when they start having their whole and heaven forbid if you talk bad about them during World Series times and they bring up the curse of the Babe. I'm like, no, you guys were the idiots for letting him go. Don't bring him into it. Don't go talk to that guy. And think about it. You guys bought him from Baltimore, who was and that the Orioles organization was the original Brewers organization. So at some round, Baltimore, the Brewers had Babe Ruth in a way. And somebody's gonna highlight that and say Tim just said Babe Ruth was on the Brewers. No, I didn't say that. But these guys are obnoxious. These guys are absolutely obnoxious. My number 4 is the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah. Well, let's go with it. Let's go this night. At number 3, I got the Boston Red Sox. Like you said, it's just in the movie not Summer Catch. What was it? Fever Pitch.
Fever Pitch.
That was a pretty good movie about them. Great history, but the fan base and
they're terrible.
Yeah. So, all right, you're number 3.
My number 3. My number 3 is this low on the list, where they're probably number 1 on everybody else's list of most hated teams, unless you were a fan of this team. I learned to hate this team because of one person. One person. And that one person is George Steinbrenner. Golly. And the thing is, you go to Tampa and everywhere you go, it's Steinbrenner this, Yankee that, this, that, and the other thing. And you wouldn't believe that there was a Rays team, a Tampa team in New York or in Tampa. And it's ridiculous. But my number 3 is the evil empire itself, the New York Yankees.
All right, my number 2, another team that, back in the 80s, I kind of liked as a National League team, respect a lot of their players, but now the fan base ownership has just turned it, you just can't root for these guys. And I think they're one of the most expensive tickets to get around in MLB. I'm going with the Dodgers. Your number 2.
My number 2. The greatest thing in Major League Baseball was the fact is that the Chicago Cubs hadn't won a World Series since 1918. That's gone. And now the Cubs are insufferable again. The Cubs fans are insufferable. They're not making the playoffs this year. But God, their fans suck so much. And it's the sad thing is I've been to a Cubs game. I've been to a Cubs Brewers game with Sosa, and I'm going to say this right now, and we probably should have had a disclaimer before this episode. But they're morons. They're legitimately not the world's smartest people. And to think you had to get a former GM from the Boston Red Sox to make your team a World Series champion, and then you turn around and go up I-95 and steal the manager from the Milwaukee Brewers to go down. At this point, I'm going to be the White Sox biggest fan, just so to see the other team leave. My number 2 is the Chicago Cubs.
Well, again, if people know me, they know my number 1 hated baseball team. Twins can't get by them. I'm just tired of them, and I'm with Tim. It's because of one guy, and that is the owner, Steinbrenner. And I get it. You're out there to make your team better, your business better. Of course, you're going to spend money. I totally get it, but yeah, it's just it's hard to root for those Yankees. Yeah. So you're number 1.
My number 1 is the phrase that pays. My number 1 is your number. I got to remember your numbers. 3. The Los Angeles Dodgers.
Number 2.
God, that team just wow. The Dodgers have become the New York Yankees of the West.
Yep.
And it's so sick.
Totally get it. All right. So, we got 3. So we're 6 for 10 so far. So now we'll get into the realm of NFL here. Our hated teams that we love to hate. I'm gonna say 3 with the possible 4.
I 4 is gonna. I think 4 is gonna be tough, to be honest. I'll say 3, but
Okay.
I have this feeling that 3 is going to be very weird.
Yep.
All right. I think we're getting 3 in a roundabout way. So
probably. All right. You're kicking it off with number 5.
I'm looking at this going, how many of these teams have I seen live? I've seen 4 of my 5 teams live.
Nice.
I saw my number 5 team at home, if that makes that even weirder. This team can't. This team is like the laughing stock of the NFL. This team can't figure out what starting quarterback it wants to start year after year after year after year. It seems like they can't get out of their way ever since the original team went to Baltimore. They got such a they got and I have the and this is nothing against. Honestly, this has nothing against the pre-moved team because of all the history that it has. It just seems like everything since they came back in 99, they can't figure it out. And I've been to a game in Cleveland Municipal or in Cleveland Memorial. God, the fans are just as degenerate as the team is sometimes. But my number 5 is the Cleveland Browns.
All right, my number 5. I hate to say it because they got some great players. One of our fellow colleagues claims that their best receiver was a quarterback, the best quarterback in franchise history. But that fan base is just so up in air right now. And granted, yes, they got a great team. But I gotta go San Francisco 49ers.
I don't know who that person is.
Yeah. All right, you're number 4.
My number 4. I think the second most delusional fan base in all of the NFL. It's so crazy. Another team that can't get out of its way. It's so crazy. And when you consider that you consider when the fan base considers that your best quarterback is Joe Namath and the guy's barely mediocre at best and makes the Hall of Fame, and they don't understand that your 2 best quarterbacks are probably Ken O'Brien and Chad Bennington. That's cool. You can forget everything. You guys screwed up so much that you guys let Curtis Martin leave to go to the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you decide to get a guy who can't. Now you've got a quarterback that, first of all, last year couldn't last 30 seconds in a game, but can't figure out if he should be in training camp or on a spiritual guide. Dude, you're not Native American. Calm down. It's cool. You need to be there for your team. My number 4 is the New York Jets.
Well, I'm going to piss off 3 people in our little group here for C2C, and they know it. And
I'm coming. I love it because I've been there. Yep. I've been to their games.
Every year, it's their year. Every year is a rebuilding year. Once they don't make the playoffs, when they make the playoffs, they seem to run a play where there's only one guy on the offensive line with the quarterback and get smushed.
That's the Colts. Cool. Great.
Yeah. My number 4 team is the Dallas Cowboys.
Well,
you're number 3.
My number 3 is the phrase that pays. I'm upsetting the same 3 people. My number 3 is your number 4, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep. Well, I'm glad my son's not here to hear my number 3 pick because he's
Minnesota Vikings. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's I don't know what to say. I mean, granted, this team's doing good. The quarterback's doing good, but they're just all over the media right now. And honestly, if it wasn't for the relationship, I probably wouldn't have this team up here. But I'm going with Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, you're lucky. One's not there. Holy hell.
You're number 2.
My number 2, this is a team that reminds me so much of their quarterback. golly, and I hate this team. I hate this team from the word go. I hate this team since the 1984 draft. And it's all because of one player. Considering, and I want people to think about this, this was the first year that they had started a quarterback that they had drafted. That draft was this year, their first quarterback they drafted. And that was Bo Nix. I just can't stand this team, and I know I'm making somebody upset in my because I have a friend who's and I've been to it, and I've been to a game with her in Minnesota to see the Vikings and them play at the Met. Good thing that those seats were $4 because other than that, it would have been a waste of money for me. But because of John Elway, my number 2 team is the Denver Broncos.
Wow. Well, my number 2 team is a team that's now on the decline, but put some pieces together. They could come back, but for most of the year, most of the 2000s, just could not stand rooting for this team because of the coach, because of the players. Just and the thing is they didn't do anything spectacular. It was just the media coverage. It was just, they just can't do wrong. They pick up these players that think they can do. I am talking about the New England Patriots.
You just take the words right out of my mouth.
You're number 1.
My number 1 is the phrase that pays because I cannot stand the New England Patriots. They did, into my eyes, deflate gate, spy gate, deflate everything else. They did everything wrong. Tuck rule. Yeah, they don't. Oh, it's so nice to see that team get spanked last year, and I was hoping that wouldn't happen. Oh, it's so terrible. I hate the Patriots. Hate them with a passion. I don't even respect them. I hate them.
And we're not gonna put Randy Cox's other message up there to us but my number 1, I'm gonna upset about 3/4 of my family. Well, actually 1/3 of my family.
You're gonna upset at least 99% of mine.
Yep. And the thing is my favorite quarterback is Brett Favre, but that fan base, no matter what it is, the game, if they lose a game, it's because of the referees. If they win a game, it's because one player, and all this. If they don't make the playoffs, the league was against them. The Green Bay Packers. I'm sorry, guys.
I don't know how many times I've sat there and watched my Facebook news feed go up there and going like, oh, it's like the Packers should be firing. The Packers should fire the coach this week. 4 weeks later, they're in the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, good talk. Since you're
the coach
wanted the coach to be gone, and next thing you know,
he's the coach of the year. Golly. So, all right. So let's move into the NBA. I guess we won't have too many matches on these ones.
I'm going to say 1 on NBA. 1.
Yeah. All right. So I get to start. These are players. Hey, you got the talent. You're in the pros. Just can't root for you for whatever reason. My number 5. And actually kind of, I would say 4 of my 5 guys probably have some kind of ego on them. I'm going to go with the guy that just, if he would just, all these guys, they would just show up play basketball, would have some titles. I'm going to start with Russell Westbrook.
Like I said, I got 2 guys on here that are.
Yep. All right. You're number 5.
My number 5 is a guy who just needs to shut up and quit thinking he needs to look like he's the GOAT. You can't stand that. Again, I understand if you just shut up and play basketball, as he was once told one time. At this time, maybe he needs to take that advice but he's the ultimate ring chaser. Absolutely the ultimate ring chaser. He left Cleveland to go to Miami to get rings, goes from Miami to Cleveland to get rings, goes from Cleveland to Los Angeles to get rings. My number 5 is the Queen himself, LeBron James.
All right. Another one that, again, if he would just play basketball and get his team together, he'd probably have some rings or more rings. I'm going with number 4, Kevin Durant.
Yeah, that's the thing is he's so good, but he believes his own hype.
Yep. You're number 4.
My number 4. This is where we start getting into. You're pretty soon. You're going to get an understanding of where the list is going to be. I just think if this guy hadn't had a nightlife, didn't decide to do his little stint in the NWO with the WCW, and what kind of numbers and what he actually could have done in the NBA if he actually took the NBA a lot more serious.
Carmelo.
Oh God, I didn't even think about him, but he could have gone on this list too. Jay Leno, no, but yeah, I absolutely respect what he does, but think about what he could have been if he didn't pull all the crap that he did.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, that's a good one. My number 3, again, you respect the guy because he's been there. You respect his training regimen that they keep showing all the time, but he just gets so much coverage, and he single-handedly has changed the game for our younger audience just because they just want to jack up the threes from 20, 30, half court.
Caitlin Clark.
Steph Curry.
Caitlin Clark. I get it.
Yeah. Steph Curry. All right, you're number 2. Or
My number 3. My number 3 is it has a namesake that used to play for the Boston Celtics, but we're not talking about that guy. I'm talking about the one crybaby that didn't get put on the dream team. Another guy who tended to, and I'm going to be very, 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 very nice about what he said, but ticked off so many people that he couldn't get on the dream team. When you make Magic Johnson angry, you've done something completely wrong. But I'm going to go with number 3, Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, that's a good one too. My number 2 is another guy that just can't seem to get his head on straight to play ball, and all about him. James Harden.
God, Harden needs to leave. To me, I think Harden's a waste of time. If I'd have realized that we were doing current, I would have done current, and we would have gone 5 for 5. I'll guarantee it. My number 2. Have you figured out the clue between the top those two so far?
No.
Yeah, well, this third one will give it to you.
Detroit Pistons.
This is the guy that almost almost decapitated Michael Jordan going through the lane, and putting him on the line, which, to be honest, may have helped Michael Jordan's career be a little bit more tougher, be a little stronger, to be a little bit more like Michael needed more confidence. Be a little bit more confident to go in the lane against the big up against the trees like an Elijah one and Samson and the like. But my number and my number 2 has actually become a really good coach, which is really shocking, and not really shocking because you kind of saw it because he's a lot different as a coach than he is a player. But my number 2 is Bill Laimbeer.
He needs to go coach those Pistons.
Yeah, he does.
Well, my number 1 is the only guy that we're going to get on the list here. Respect the game, but again, I think he just needs to either go away, but we know this might be his last year because he gets to play with his son supposedly as of right now.
I'm hoping Bronny gets cut.
Yeah. He's the current coach / GM of the Lakers, I guess, because it seems like they do whatever he wants, and that's and again, you're a pro athlete at the age of 18. You've done it all. I'll give you all the respect for that, but yeah, LeBron James. I'm sorry, can't root for the guy.
My number 1. This one's personal. This one's really personal. I've brought this guy up on so many different shows because what he's done to my Milwaukee Bucks and what he has done on making sure my Milwaukee Bucks only seem to get one NBA title. Respect the game, absolutely respects what he does, and it has nothing to do with his talent. It's the fact of what he's done to my team to make sure that and I'll personally tell you, I will let you go look at the bubble year, and I will tell you exactly if you look at the bubble year between the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks, I will tell you exactly why. There's one player, and it's not Tyler Hero. It's my number one is Jimmy Butler. Hate Jimmy Butler. Respect everything, but the fact is you've taken the Bucks out of the playoffs 3, 4, 5 times. Mm-hmm. I respect Jimmy Butler to the end of the world, and I will defend Jimmy Butler, but I hate the guy.
You'll defend him, but
I hate him. Absolutely hate him.
I like that one.
And I will go on his Twitter page, and I will say I hate you, but I respect you, and I will defend you till the earth. and I guarantee you, he will not block me like Ryback.
Like Ryback. All right. Let's go into the world of NBA or MLB. Let's get to the diamond.
I got two. Now remember, I've got two current guys.
I got triple up too on this one. So, all right, well, kick it off.
This guy's the guy who I realized I didn't put the right guy on, but I'm going to go with this guy anyway because this guy's arrogant enough to pitch a perfect game with Babe Ruth's hat on. And it bothers the hell out of me. And I forgot completely about Roger Clemens, and I legitimately thought about it. I'm like, whoa, I should have went with Roger Clemens. But my number 5 is David Wells.
Yeah, that one's way better. Yeah, the commissioner didn't want him to wear that hat or something. That's why he wore it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5. I got 3 guys here. And honestly, probably put the whole team on there, but I got Correa, Altuve, and Berkman for the Houston Astros. Well, of course, Correa's with the Twins, but just those guys are just right now 3 hated guys. That whole team is, even though teams that have players that haven't even were on that championship team are getting booed. So, all right, you're number 4.
My number 4. I'm going to get hate for it because this guy's probably likable. Probably. But sorry, bud. You play for the New York Yankees and you're doing things you're not supposed to do. He's probably, like I said, he's probably the nicest guy in the world, too. You stand that tall, you decide to jack home runs out of Yankee Stadium and anywhere else you go. And one of these guys, matter of fact, I've only seen 2 of these guys play. But you play for another team than the Yankees, maybe I don't hate you so much. But my number 4 is Aaron Judge.
My number 4 is a guy who had the ego when he got drafted. Kind of showed it when he won the home run contest. He leaves his original team and they win the World Series. So
it was hilarious.
And the thing is, a few years ago, this guy would have been number 1 on my list. He's dropping off a little bit because I think he's kind of realized that it's not all about him. But I'm going with Bryce Harper.
As soon as you said this guy had the ego, I'm like, there's and you said you didn't have veterans on older players. I'm like, well, my number 3 was that way.
All right, you're number 3.
Because I could say this guy was drafted when he came out. He was basically I could restart your whole thing, but the thing is they didn't win the World Series after he left. Either one of the 2 teams that he left. It's hilarious. he'd have stayed around, and this thing just bothers me. And truthfully, he denies. No, it's not Barry Bonds. Because if I was really paying attention, he'd have been number one. But to go to a team in Texas and make $250 million in your first, when you could have stayed in Seattle to win a World Series and say, "Oh, I see this is going." No, bud, you went for the money, because if you'd have stayed in Seattle, you would have won your rings almost the next year. At that point, because you're coming off a team that had broke the record for most wins in a season, and then you leave, buddy. It wasn't all you. And then I'm not chasing, and now I'm chasing rings. So you go and get almost as much money to go to the Yankees to get your ring. And then he does things where he doesn't do anything, and then he tries to slap the ball out of the hand at first base, and like blah blah blah. God, the original A-Rod. My number 3 is Alex Rodriguez.
My number 3 is a guy. He got all the talent in the world. He can't stay healthy. The fans, up until probably the last couple of years, everybody claims that he was the face of baseball. He was a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame for his ballot, which could be true, but yet again, I don't see it. He hasn't done much of playoffs. I know it's a team sport, but I think what's hampering him is his injury. And again, I think he should go play DH when he comes back. And that's one Mike Trout.
Love Mike Trout.
I
love Mike Trout. It's
just hard to, with the fan base and everything, and being considered the face of baseball, and you haven't done nothing. I mean,
I remember when they talked about when he first came up that he was going to be the next Mickey Mantle. I'm like, holy smokes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, you're number 2.
My number 2. I'm officially looking at my list, and I've got 4 Yankees on this list. Tell me why I don't like the Yankees. And I've seen, like I said, I've seen two of these guys play. This is the Jimmy Butler thing for me with my number 2. Absolutely, I love his work ethic. I think you and I are kind of like the same way you are with Mike Trout, that I am with my number 2, and the fact is he's got the rings. But the thing is, he's got the rings and he stays healthy. And this is the fact is, I would have loved to have seen him go somewhere else to do that with another team. But knowing the captain, like we know, he wasn't ever going to leave, because I think he was a one-team guy, much like Trout, I think, is going to be.
Yep.
Absolutely respect. Think about it. If you've got this guy playing shortstop and Alex Rodriguez comes to the Yankees and plays third, I absolutely all the respect in the world. I think if I love this guy even more if he didn't play for the Yankees. This guy just pulls so many things out of thin air. It's crazy. And first ballot Hall of Famer to me, Derek Jeter.
Yep. Jeter and Rivera are like the only 2 Yankees that I would want to have a jersey from.
Yeah.
I'll tell that. Yeah.
Maybe. But my dad had a Boston Braves Babe Ruth jersey. No. Yeah.
Well, my number 2 is going to be the phrase that pays. Your number 4, Aaron Judge, a guy, again, for the size of what he could do, play center field, left, right. I mean, and just smack the ball. It's just, I just don't, I can't root for the guy. Just the media presence and stuff like that. It's just like he just can't do nothing wrong. So, all right, you're number 1.
My number 1. I'm legitimately kind of curious if you have him as your number 1. But I know I'm going to make somebody on C2C not happy. And it's not you, Brandon.
Well, the Twins don't have
it's one Callan. It's one Callan. This guy I don't even respect. That's how bad it is. I don't respect this guy, period. And I think in ways I've heard him talk about my number one as if he doesn't respect him either. And I think he's still there, if I'm not mistaken. I keep thinking I get him and Soto mixed up sometimes. I know Soto's with the Yankees.
Yeah, Soto's gone.
Soto's gone, but my number one isn't. If I remember reading an article yesterday, right? I didn't like him when he was in Baltimore. I sure the hell don't like him in San Diego. I don't care what record he's about to break in San Diego, but he should break no records in San Diego. He should break no records in Major League Baseball. My number one is Manny Machado.
Yeah, I thought about putting him up there and stuff like that, but my number one, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one.
Ken Griffey Jr. Oh, wait, no, you don't have
Yeah. No, this guy, for what he's done, I mean, I know, he went.
Mookie Betts.
Well, he got the team right.
Oh, God. I knew it. I almost thought about putting him on, too.
For what he could do, I respect him playing two positions. I know this year he's not. But to be in a scandal, MLB's kind of washed their hands of it. So they're letting him play. The fan base is all over. The media's all over him. It's just hard for me to sit there. I mean, I'll watch the accomplishments that he makes, but God, everything now he does, it's like, oh, he's the first DH to do this. Oh, he's the first pitcher / hitter to do this. And it's just like, we haven't seen this since Babe Ruth. Well, one thing is Babe Ruth didn't do it both at the same time. So I got Ohtani at my number one.
Yeah. And basically it's because the fan base screws that up.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get to the NFL.
Well, we're gonna get none because I've got no current players.
All right. Well, I guess we got none.
We're gonna go 0 this time. So
all right, my number 5, and I know a lot of people are gonna tell me, well, what did he? He did this in Minnesota. He did this in Minnesota. Well, but yet,
Randy Moss.
I hate this guy more. I'm having a hard time rooting for him just because the fact that he changed the way contracts are thought of nowadays. Now it's all about the guaranteed money. Now it's this, fully guaranteed contract. Kirk Cousins, I'm glad you're gone. I'm glad you're getting paid, but yeah, my number 5 is Kirk Cousins.
Like Randy Moss, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. You're number 5.
Kirk Cousins. Green Bay fans are going to be really happy that I have this guy on my list. Actually, they're going to be happy I got 2 of these guys on my list. Probably one of the better defensive linemen for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and thought I'm going to go run to make money in Los Angeles. Because I think they were Oakland at the time. God, this guy is just a moron. I'm hoping some of these people see this just so I can get a comment. An absolute moron. And the thing is, he's the only stain of the people who have wore the creamsicle jerseys for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is the guy. This is like a brown stain on a creamsicle jersey. My number 5 is Warren Sapp. I love the cream.
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, we'd be talking about Dwayne Rock Johnson as a football player, probably.
Yep.
So, my number 4, well, you brought him up on another list there. With one of the teams that you hated, this guy would just stop being a diva, but he probably learned from the best quarterback to be a diva on. But my number 4 is Aaron Rodgers.
The second coming of A-Rod.
Yeah. You're number 4.
My number 4, I want you to take a look at picture. If you ever get a chance, I want you to take a look at a picture of Grover Stewart, the defensive tackle for the Colts.
Yep.
And he's going to remind you of my number 4. They both play the same position. But I, being the loving brother, bought my sister, who is a Lions fan, a jersey of the Detroit Lions. And my sister's like, I don't want anybody's jersey except for his. Okay. So I bought my sister that jersey. And then he proceeded to stomp the hell out of the head of a lineman in Green Bay. Then this guy just couldn't. This guy, I think this guy has the NFL record for most fines in a season. I'd have no respect for the guy, but I respect for my sister. That's the only reason why I bought that Lions jersey. And the fact is that he got a Super Bowl with the flipping Eagles. That bothers the hell out of me. My number 4 is Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, my number 3 is a guy that just made news again.
The guy who can't stand
up. If he would just play ball, he'd probably be up there top 10 quarterbacks, this year. But he's my number 3 of the guys we love to hate. And the Browns, they're in a lose-win situation because if they didn't pay him much. And if he doesn't do good, oh well. And if he does good, they didn't pay him much. So, but Deshaun Watson.
And the funny thing is, if he gets suspended, they can cut him.
Yeah.
For cause and spend no money.
Yep. Exactly. You're number 3.
Well, Brandon, it's about time I've tiptoed on your heart.
Okay.
This guy, you guys got. The Vikings got for what, $1,000 off the waiver wire from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
This guy only catches touchdowns, comes from Ohio State. Lord, can't even spell Chris properly. I bet you the Vikings would have rather have had 2 Randy Mosses instead of Chris Carter and Randy Moss. Then he goes to Miami and absolutely does dog water. God, this guy's got the attitude that needs to be shot out of a cannon. My number 3 is I can't stand this guy, and I've seen him play live. The sad thing is, I'm looking at this list. Who have I seen live? 1, 2, 5, 2. And my number, and don't worry, he's not the only wide receiver on my list. Just but my number 3 is Chris Carter.
Wow. My number 2, well, if you guys were my NFL teams, I got 3 fans on this channel that I'm going to upset the most. I cannot pull for him, and he just got paid for whatever reason Jerry Jones is thinking, and that's Dak Prescott.
I like Dak. I wanted Dak for Indy before we decided to.
And maybe that's the thing too. Maybe if he goes to a different team, different outlook, I don't know. But you're number 2.
Well, let's go with the ultimate quarterback, the ultimate wide receiver diva. And I have seen this guy live when he was in the aforementioned San Francisco. And to think this is the guy, and I'm not trying to tap dance all over Bacon and whoever else is I'm guessing Viper here is a Cowboys fan.
Oh yeah.
I have respect for him for playing in a Super Bowl with a broken arm, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
A broken arm or broken leg. But you know what? When a wide receiver is on his yard, when he's not weightlifting or conducting interviews, or he's crying about Jeff Garcia, or who was his quarterback? He's my quarterback. Was that Jeff Garcia in San Francisco? Or was that Tony Romo in Dallas?
It might have been Tony Romo in Dallas.
It might have been Romo. He's my quarterback, man. For God's sakes, man. I don't like popcorn. I don't like popcorn, Terrell. Just so you know. And to think about it, if you went to a college, what was it, Oregon State, and you what was it? You had him and Steve Smith at the same university, same time, no, I can't do it. But my number two, and I hope this guy never gets into the Hall of Fame, but of course he's going to, because this is a guy who everybody thinks has the numbers, and this is controversial, so let's get it out there. My number two is the guy who needs a timeout, T.O. himself, Terrell Owens.
Yeah. Well, my number one, again, if my son was here, he'd be probably throwing punches at me right now.
Which one? Which one? That's all I'm asking. Which one of those two goofball Kansas City Chiefs do you have on that list?
I just respect them, and just I don't know. I don't know if it's just his play that bugs me or what, but Pat Mahomes, I just can't.
Have you had a chance to watch Quarterback One yet?
No, I have not.
Netflix? Oh, this will make you hate this guy even more.
Oh, okay.
Holy smokes!
All right, you're number one.
Well, mess around would agree with me. Absolutely agree with me. This guy, and when Netflix decided to do a roast of this guy on Netflix, I had to watch. I watched every one of it. The greatest thing I've ever seen, because he was getting the beating he should have got in the NFL. And then he cries about it at the end. Typical fashion of this quarterback, looking for flags. But you're the one that signed up for that, bud. My number one is the new analyst for Fox Sports, Tom Brady.
Yeah. All right.
Holy heck! Did we do current? Were we supposed to do current WWE guys too?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
That's okay.
Did I do two? I did one.
All right. Well, we're going to go into the square circle where we're going to go with WWE people we love to hate, I guess. Tim went old school, I guess. So, but I wish Dragon Viper was here for a couple of mine. But all right. Well, kick it off with your number 5.
My number 5. Arguably part one half of the greatest, arguably, I'm going to say this, arguably one of half of the greatest commentary crew in WWE history. Now I'm really blowing your mind. Now this could be anybody, because this could be Piper, this could be this could be. But the thing that made me hate this guy the most, and I've seen this guy, I've been there twice to some of these things, is the thing he did with Andy Kaufman. Oh my God. And the thing is, if they're on this list, they're doing their job. That's the sad thing, is they're doing their job, and that's the horrible thing. God, I just can't stand this guy. And then it seemed like after the Attitude Era, it just seemed like they'd proverbially cut his balls off, because all of a sudden he wasn't so walking the line so much, and he became, and I think it's because of one incident in the 90s, I think 98, I want to say, and that's when everything started to change. But my number 5 is Jerry Lawler.
Yeah. That movie with him, Jim Carrey. He even said that Jim Carrey was kind of getting on his nerves, because all Jim Carrey did was act like Andy Kaufman. That is, but that's a good one. My number 5 is, you go from being a quiet guy to being now a voice of SmackDown, the so-called leader of the bloodline. I just don't believe it right now, because it's just, I mean, the storyline itself is good, don't get me wrong. And like you said, people are on this list, they're doing the job. And that's one, Solo Sikoa.
I like Solo. Solo.
You're number 4.
My number 4, again, probably going to take a lot of flack for this. Probably the best heart to come out of the Heart Dungeon. And I'm not saying Stu. But Stu was somebody you didn't want to screw around with either. But his villain work, his heel stuff, really made me, golly, it just made me want to punch him in the face. And the thing is, and find out that he's a completely opposite outside and that's great. Sometimes you want to see that, but you don't get that, and that's back in the day of kayfabe, and that kind of sucks because you don't get to see the real people, but you really learn to hate him. And when he became part of the Nation of Domination, I thought it was a joke. I legitimately thought it was a flat out joke, and then you see how it all worked, and it was just. But Owen Hart pissed me off on so many different levels. And this is a guy I will defend until the end of time too. But I hated Owen Hart. Absolutely hated him with my last breath.
All right. My number 4 is now I almost put both of them on here because they're a tag team, but I think one Austin Theory could be a fan favorite down the road. But I mean, again, their heel work is just so phenomenal. His tag team partner, Grayson Waller, I don't see a face at all on that guy. I think he's gonna be a heel forever.
Yeah, it's hard to come about that one. My number 3, I kind of dipped into AEW because he's in AEW right now. The only guy on this list that is active. That tells you anything. And the thing is, this guy, some of his heel work is near perfection, absolutely near perfection. And you saw it, and when Adam Copeland showed up in AEW, and they had that little hug, and next thing it's like you just basically slapped him in the face. I'm like, God, you are and then all of a sudden he started this mommy rant and I'm your daddy crap, and I'm like, holy crap, are you just tiptoeing along on getting your ass whooped later? But then again, you saw some of that in TNA too.
Yep.
And absolutely hate this guy. I love him to death, but another one you just hate. My number 3 is Christian Cage.
Wow, you went that way. My number 3 is a tag team currently. I just don't know where they're going with them. I'm surprised. I think I'm just more upset that they haven't done nothing and they're still around, and teams and wrestlers they've let go have done more, and they gotten released. I don't know what this team's doing. I can't even recall last time I seen them in a match, and that's pretty deadly.
I think the last time I saw him on Pretty Deadly. When was the last time I saw him?
Exactly. Now they're doing some kind of musical bid. I don't know.
Was it a Raw? Was it the Raw that the Wyatt Six showed up? The first time the Wyatt Six showed up?
Possibly. Yeah. Your number 2.
My number 2, one of the few people who showed up on WWE and WCW at the same time, because at the time WWF was taped, and nobody really paid attention that WCW was live. No, I'm not going Lex Luger. Because that happened to Davey Boy Smith did it too. But I'm going with a guy from these two guys I've got. I believe he's from Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, I really wish he would have lived. This is the whole bothersome, because he could have. You had a manager working role just set up when Bobby showed up in TNA. Oh. When Beer Money showed up and you had James Storm and Bobby, you had the perfect manager, like the perfect man he was for NWO when he showed up, and when he was the perfect manager for Degeneration X. Yep. Everything he did pissed me off. Everything. But you had to respect for what he respected for what he did. My number 2 is Rick Rude.
That's a good one. Well, my number 2 is a guy who I thought you were talking about in AEW, because this guy is another one that they try to put face, but it just does not work out. The fans don't believe it because his heel work is so amazing. And again, you make kids cry at signings. You tell them that you tell them that the moms or dad should have spent the extra 25 cents. His parents, come out and, granted, so work on their end, say they don't like him. And that's one. MJF.
I love Maxwell J. Freeman. I love him. He was never going on this list because I don't hate the guy. I love what he does. This guy by himself could resurrect kayfabe. Just himself.
All right.
Now,
you're number one.
My number one. I'm staying in the great state of Minnesota. Oh my God, this guy bothered me. Absolutely bothered me. To all those vignettes before he even showed up in the ring, and the funny thing is he played kayfabe outright. So oh no, I did all them things did them perfectly the first time every time. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Golly, this guy. And I was like, I've always had problems with people with egos and narcissism and stuff like that. So he already had me pegged dead to rights on that, and. To have your finisher called "Be the Perfect Plex," come on, and then you go to WCW, and then he became part of the Four Horsemen for a brief period of time.
That was dumb.
It was so stupid, and then he goes to the NWO. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, sometimes that's about the time that WCW was having schizophrenic freaking writing. Again. I hated this guy so much. Respect him. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the best, probably the best intercontinental title holders ever. Yep. I've got 3 on this list that could be named that. But yeah, my number one is Kurt Hennig.
Well, my number one, I wish Dragon Viper was here because I know he would give me a bunch of emojis right now. But if you guys watch a lot of interviews and stuff on social media.
Oh my God, this guy!
There's a lot of people that claim that this is the best heel of all time.
He's the best heel now,
and they're saying best of all time.
No. That's tough because there's The Rock. The Rock had.
Well, no. I get it. It's tough, but also to be a heel. And then do another heel turn to be a bigger heel. And honestly, he's number one because I know a lot of people hate him, but
he's doing his job.
MJF, I like MJF too, but I like Dominic Mysterio, but he will never be a face. But his dad Ray has even said he's the GOAT right now of heels. I mean, it's just and to have him have that heel turn again when you're already heel. I mean, it's just weird.
It's so hard to do, and the thing is, you look at some of the have you ever seen some of the interviews that Taker has done on Dominic Mysterio?
Oh,
and even Taker's at the point where he's going right now. He's the best heel there is.
Yeah.
Because the guy can't even open his mouth and he's already dead.
Yep.
It's the guy has done his job.
Some of the legends are saying that Dom is the greatest heel, right now, maybe top 5 all time, but and then I think it was Taker too that said, dude, he had a heel turn when he was a heel and got more heat.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, I got one quick list here, and Tim, I know you brought it up earlier, but the world lost James Earl Jones, so we're going to do his top 10 from Conquest.net of his top 10 roles. See where we got here.
Okay, I've got 3 in my head that should be top 3.
I got a few of them too. So number 10. 1964, Dr. Strangelove. He played Lieutenant Lorda Zork.
He was in Dr. Strangelove?
Yep.
I'll have to take a look at that. I got 4 in my head now. 4 in my head now.
1970, In The Great White Hope, he played Jack Jefferson.
Nope, that's too low. That was one of my 4. That's too
Okay.
low.
Well, if that's too low, this one's way too low. Because this would be number 7, I believe, on the list. 1977 Star Wars Darth Vader.
Both.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Oh, those are way too low. I don't know who these people are, but they need to be taken out before.
This one I didn't know, and I haven't seen this movie in a long time. 1982, The Conan the Barbarian. He played Thelma's Doom.
Mm-hmm. He played the villain. I think he played the villain in Conan the Barbarian. Yeah.
Number 5, again, this one's way too low. In top 5, and this is way too low. Coming to America, 1982 or 88. King Joffrey Joffrey. Yes, that's way too low. Number 4, I can kind of agree with this one at number 4, 1986, Field of Dreams, Terrence Mann.
That was up on there. That was one of the 4.
Yep. 1990. Man, the guy was busy for 3 years. Holy cow. 1990, The Hunt for Red October, Omar James Gear.
Yeah, he played that role a couple times in some of the Jack Ryan series with Harrison Ford. He did a couple of those with him too. So that's not the first time. That's the first time with Alec with Alec in it, or Alec Baldwin.
I must have missed numbers here. Okay, maybe that was number 4 then. All right, Hunt for Red October, because I got 3 left here. Number 3, Snickers in 1992. He played Bernard Abbott. I haven't seen that show. Number 2, 1993. God, he was busy from 88 to mid-90s. Wow. The Sandlot, where he played Mr. Myrtle, the dog.
Yeah, he's the guy. Yeah, he had the dog in the.
Yep. And the number 1, based on this website here, that is flawed because it had Darth Vader at number 7 or whatever.
If this isn't Mufasa, something's happened.
And I honestly, we watched that movie over and over again, and for some reason, I did not picture him as Mufasa. But yeah, Lion King, Mufasa.
Yep.
But yeah, Darth Vader is way low. Darth Vader should be number 1.
Yeah, I completely agree. I forgot that he was in the Field of Dreams until I saw something on YouTube where they said that the Angels or the Dodgers had gave him a little tribute in last night's game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's it. Any final thoughts?
No. We're back again tonight. Just so you think, if you like this this early, we're a little more. We're not so risky later tonight. We're just doing the coaches, the couches. I'm like you now. It's my week to screw this up. It's the couch fantasy hour where we're going to break down fantasy football from last week. Give you our picks from who and who not to take this week. Go over how we screwed up against 2 computer teams. But look forward to that. I think it's at 10:30 my time. So
it'll be 3:30 Central.
3:30 Central. 1:30 on the West Coast, 4:30 on the East Coast. If you're in Australia, it's tomorrow sometime.
So, with that being said, we got the Coaches Fantasy Zone tonight, or the Couches Fantasy Zone. God dang it. We got Sportsman, hopefully, tomorrow, kicking it, hopefully, Friday Entertainment Hour, where they will definitely break down James Earl Jones. Hopefully, with technical issues aside, hopefully Morning Tailgate returns and on deck. So, and then of course the wrestling. So on Thursday or on Sunday, which this Sunday I will be at a local wrestling event, because say his name and he will appear. Joe Henry, and we'll be there. And then so will Jordan Grace will be there too. So that should be a fun recap for me. So that being said, we'll see you guys all later today, me and Tim. But for C2C, we'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good day.